Okay, recruitment selection. Here we go, right, a popular GCSE topic, and essentially there's two sort of things you need to know about. We need to know about the whole process of recruitment selection, which I'll go through down the left, and then also this element of we can either employ people internally or externally, okay? So the process, you're going to go through recruitment selection process many times in your lives, I'm sure, once you finish your qualifications. So you'll become very familiar with these stages. The first thing a company needs to do though, which students often miss off, is actually you've got to identify there's a vacancy. Why would there be a vacancy? Well, I can think of two reasons. Your company's getting bigger, so you're making new jobs. We're like, right, we need people if we're going to expand. Secondly, people leave. People leave because they retire, they resign, they're dismissed. Whatever the reason is, you need to replace them. So you find out you need a vacancy, and then we write the job description. Job description, what's the title of the job, what are the hours, what's the role, where's the location, who you're going to be in charge of, who's going to be your manager. All the details about the actual job itself is written in the job description. Once we've done that, we need to write the person's specification. Who is it that we want doing the job? Now, two things really are relevant here. What qualifications should they have, and what experience should they have? Should they have been able to do that job before? We're going to accept somebody who's maybe learning how to be a manager. Should they have a degree? Should they have A-levels? Should they have vocational qualifications that are very specific to that industry? But essentially the person specification is looking at what sort of quality of person do we want. Remember, there can't be any kind of discrimination here. So person specification is not going to have age, gender, ethnicity, religion, anything like that, okay? It's purely going to be about qualifications, experience and skills. Okay, then we need to advertise the job. Advertising the job traditionally used to be sort of newspapers, and when I wanted a summer job, I used to find it in my local newspaper. I'd find like, okay, there's a waitering job there, phone this number, and there's the job. If it was a management job, it'd be in a national newspaper rather than a local newspaper. But newspapers were a classic place to advertise jobs. Obviously nowadays, it's going to be all online. Benefits of advertising online is that actually there's filters. So for example, if I went on like a website like Monster Recruitment, I can actually filter out the industry, the region, the pay, and so I only see that. And that's the beauty of anything that's on a computer, is the fact that you can access databases and filter out really quickly, and they hold so much information. So you decide where you're going to advertise the job. Okay, it depends on the industry, it depends on the relevance of that place as well. So you receive applications. Often they'd be like, right, contact us, we'll send you an application form, you fill in the application form, send it back to us, quite old fashioned. Nowadays there'd be an online application form, but the most common thing that you're probably going to be asked about is the curriculum vitae, which is the CV, and a covering letter. So for me personally, whenever I've applied for a job, I've produced a 2-page CV, 2-page covering letter, I send that off via email, and the CV lists my qualifications, experience and skills, and the covering letter is a bit more information about why I think I'm relevant for that job. The business then needs to shortlist candidates. You might see sometimes something called a long list, but essentially the same thing. A long list just creates a lot of candidates that they think are adequate, and then a short list is a reduced version of that. Okay, so why do they produce a short list? You can't interview all 120 people who apply for the job. You can filter out potentially 110 of those applications and interview your favourite 10. So it saves time and money. The interview. Right, I thought of 3 different ways that you can interview somebody. Traditionally, I was imagining an interview with maybe 3 directors sat behind a desk asking questions which are designed to kind of reveal things about yourself. So there's a panel interview. There's also a psychometric interview. I had a psychometric interview once to be a financial advisor, which I didn't get, no surprise there. But they basically were asking me about aspects of my personality, and they wanted to know if I was willing to sell the business's products at family parties and things like that. They wanted to know if I was a hungry salesperson, because they're obviously an occupation where the personality was quite crucial to the role. Okay, so psychometric is basically a personality test. Aptitude. This is a skills thing. So if I wanted to become a pilot, they would test me using maybe my fine motor skills and things like that. So that's more about a skills test, personality test, but panel is the most common. Once they've done the interview, they select the best candidate, and then they offer a contract. Okay, once the contract's all signed, the contract is there as protection for the company because you've shown a commitment to the organisation, but also it's protection for you that when you arrive at the company, the conditions are going to be as they say they are. You're not going to get there and pay suddenly half what it should be and you're working more hours, whatever it is. So it's protection there for both the business and the employee. So that's the process, okay? Now, what you might have to do in a longer question is compare, should we promote somebody, usually promotion, somebody internally, or should we find somebody from outside of the company? The advantages are pretty much, if you want to evaluate external, you'd say an advantage of internal and vice versa. So why do you go internal? The employee will be productive quickly. There's no getting used to the company, having induction training, finding out where the photocopy is. You're going to get in, you already know the environment, you should be able to be productive in your new role sooner. Less advertising costs. If you're going to promote somebody that's already in the company, you may be able to just send an email around, put it on a notice board saying there's a vacancy, and people can apply for it. No need to pay what is actually genuinely quite expensive cost to advertise on websites or newspapers. The organisation will have detailed knowledge of the candidate, so it's a case of we know that maybe their weaknesses are this and we know their strengths are this. But sometimes just because they have weaknesses doesn't mean you're not going to promote them. It just means that maybe you know what you're getting. An external candidate you do not know. They might have bigger weaknesses that you're unaware of. And also the other thing is it may motivate other staff. If you're showing you an organisation that promotes internally, other staff will think, right, if I work hard, I could be rewarded as well. When a company that goes external all the time, that may cause some demotivation. It's a bit like a football club playing somebody from their academy team rather than thinking, right, we're going to spend millions and sign a new player. Actually promote somebody from the academy team, it can motivate all the other staff. Okay, so what's the benefit of going external then? And these are the disadvantages of internal. You could potentially get fresh ideas. And also where those candidates are going to come from, they're going to come from competitions. You may be able to steal competitors' ideas, but essentially they're coming in with a fresh look on it, a fresh take, different experience to everybody that you already have. Prevents competition between existing staff. Sometimes when you promote internally, existing staff have gone for that promotion. It may cause conflict and damage the culture. If you go internal, you've only got a select number of people to choose from. If you go external, you've got the whole sort of population who are going to be exposed to your job advert. So you have a larger pool of people to choose from. And the other thing about promoting internally is if you promote somebody, there's a void from where they were. So to sort of evaluate less advertising costs, maybe there are still advertising costs because now you've just got to fill a lower vacancy. Okay, so it doesn't leave a vacancy elsewhere. So there are the benefits of external. Some other generic evaluations about this. I think it does depend on the financial resources. A business that doesn't have many financial resources may prioritise the less advertising costs, okay? So question is sort of whether they can actually afford it, whether that's a big deal. And also it depends on the type of job. So I've said there's a larger pool of labour to choose from if you go external, and maybe it's a new system your business has not done before. It's a new machine that you're bringing into, and you want somebody to operate that machine. Or maybe it's worth going external because you don't have the skills in the company. So there's other things to think about. What is the actual vacancy, and is it actually possible to promote somebody internally for that vacancy? Okay.